Today we are going to be making little three-dimensional abstract sculptures out of things that you can find around your house, like cereal boxes. These like king-size cereal boxes cut make great. I have some different, and even you can try some like smaller ones. These little ones were all made of smaller things, macaroni and cheese boxes, or even anything like this. This is called chipboard, and that's what they actually make this material out of. So we're going to be doing that. Now, the directions are going to be that you can use one straight cut, one curved cut, two straight folds, and one curved fold, and unlimited joints. So I'm going to explain what that means. But I can take my chipboard, and I'm going to take either a ruler or some kind of straight edge. You could use a CD cover, you could use like a DVD cover, a book, a ruler if you happen to have one at home. And you have to decide where you're going to make your first straight cut. And so I would do this with a pencil, but because I want you to really be able to see this, I'm going to do mine with a marker, and I'm just going to show you. This is where I decided that I will do my straight cut. And then I'm going to have my curved cut over here. Now I have to think about, I don't want these two parts to be exactly the same size because we know that variety is a good thing. And I can decide I could have it coming from the bottom just like this one, or I could have it coming from the top. I think I'm going to try it from the top, and I'm going to make a curved line. So I'm going to do a curved cut. I'm going to use this this cup, and I'm going to use that to help guide my curve as I'm going so that I can make a nice curved line. So when doing that, I'm just going to be deciding from my bottom where my curve is going to come. And how I want to draw that. So I use this to kind of come around that curve, just like that. And I drew that curve. So they cannot go all the way through both sides. So then I'm just going to use a pair of scissors to cut. Like I said, I would use pencil at home. That way you can make adjustments to the line if you don't like it. Okay, so I have my cuts. Now I can have two straight folds and one curved fold. So I have to start to think about how this maybe could possibly come and fit together, and how this could, where I might want a fold. So I need to kind of play around with this a little bit to try to kind of figure that out. So I'm going to just think about, I can have as many joining areas, and a joining area would be a little cut through this and a little notch in this other piece to join them, because we're not going to be using any glue or anything like that. So I have to think about how I might want this to go, how I might come in and join it, and where I might want a fold. So I'm going to now put in a fold. So to do that, I'm going to take my ruler, and I'm going to just figure out where I want my fold, and then I'm going to take a fork, and I'm going to lay my fork and like push really hard up against the ruler, just on like the tip of it. Okay, so what I did there was I just made a little crease with this fork and the ruler, and that is my straight fold. And now I can fold that right along that fold, and it's just a beautiful, nice, crisp fold, as opposed to if I just tried to fold that without doing that. So now I have this. Now I can have two of these. I can have one curve. So I'm thinking about how now I want, where do I want to have my curve, and where do I want to have my other fold? So I'm coming around here, and I can bend this. This is a nice material to be able to bend, and I can really play with this shape. So it can be a curve any which way. Now I'm going to come in and I'm going to figure out where exactly I want this to connect and how that's going to look as I'm doing that. And how do I want it to connect? Do I want this to come all the way through? Do I want this to come all the way through? Do I want just a little tip of this to come all the way through? And I actually think that I might take this and have it go all the way through here. So when I'm doing that, I'm going to figure out where I want to lay this in, and I'm going to draw a line, and I'm going to make a cut right there. Now to do that, I could use an X-Acto knife, or this is my son's Cub Scout knife. Whatever you do, if you use an X-Acto knife, or even like a razor blade, or like a little knife like this, make sure that there is something underneath where you're cutting. If you do this on your kitchen table at home, your parents aren't going to be very happy. So make sure that something is underneath where you are cutting. I have a little piece of mat board, but it could be cardboard, it could be multiple layers of things, because you do not want to go through. So figure out what you're going to use. So I have my piece of mat board here, and I'm going to be marking where I want this to be going through. And it's got to be a little bit longer, just a little bit longer than what I had there. And so I'm going to just use my son's Cub Scout knife just to show you that I can be using tools that I have at home, just like I use the fork to make the crease. And I kind of cut through, and I have that little slit right there. Now, when this comes through, I have to decide how far I want that coming through and where exactly, because that can be part of the design as well. I could have this coming through at an interesting angle, you know, or it can just come through a little bit. I think that I'm going to have it kind of coming through like this. So I'm going to mark where I want it to connect. I just made a little tiny pencil mark right there. I'm just going to cut that with my pair of scissors. You don't need to use the knife at this point, only for those connections. Okay, so now I have this. I'm going to come through here. And again, I can come in and I can play with this curve as much as I want to get it to do what I want. Okay, now back. I want there to be to think about what I want this to do now. So playing around with it, like where else does it need? I think it needs something on this back side to make it more interesting. So I think that I'm going to take this piece here and I'm going to make another straight fold because I can make in my directions 2 straight folds. So again, I'm going to decide where I want that to be. I'm going to take this just tip of this. So I made a little crease right here. You can even see it kind of coming through on that side. And then I'm going to fold kind of coming in this direction. And then I'm going to play around with what the best direction for this to sit, for this to stand, so it may even look better going different directions. I may work on some of the curves a little bit more, some of the folds a little bit more. I'm going to look at things like this curve. I may want it to like curve a little bit more. Once you're all done with this, it's on a cereal box. If you have paint at home and you want to paint like one side one color and the other side another color, you could do that. You could take it all apart and make it flat again and spray paint it, letting each side dry and then sticking it back together, and it will look really nice and cleaned up. And you can make a lot of these because you have endless amounts of chipboard right in your home recycling. So play with it, try different things, see what you can do. Hey, thanks.